日本時間11月13日、米番組 MLB Now にロサンゼルスドジャースのゼネラルマネージャー、ブランドン・ゴームス氏が出演しました。そこで、ゴームス氏は、今季の劇的なワールドシリーズ優勝について振り返り、山本由伸投手の歴史的な活躍などについて語りました。また、米番組 MLB Tonight でも、山本由伸投手の投球を振り返り、ワールドシリーズのパフォーマンスについて言及する場面も。ここからは、その様子を字幕付きでご紹介します。
What we saw in that World Series, Al, we may never see it again. We talked during the meeting to come out and do what he did shortly after what he did in Game 6. You know how hard that is, and this guy was just the hero, and he basically won them the series.
Greg, I want you to look at Game 6 and look at the bottom there. What is it? What does it say? How many pitches?
That's 96 pitches.
All right, the very next night, what do you see down the bottom?
34 pitches.
That is crazy. That's what that is. Having pitched and being an old geezer now, but I remember how sore I was after I pitched. So I just want to drill down. There's great numbers. This guy has been unbelievable. His split finger is awesome. His fastball is plus. He's got a curveball and a cutter and all sorts of stuff. But I marvel at what he was able to do, even in that snapshot. And I know he had a nice season, 173 innings, etc. He does, I drill down on this stuff. You know, like the pitching ninja and all this other stuff. I watch these videos, right? And I believe in it because we get a lot of elbow injuries. He's got a javelin. He throws a javelin, part of his exercise routine. And stretching and yoga and like crazy stuff. I mean, I know it's a copycat world that we live in. Like, oh, it works for him. Let me try that. I don't know if you could do that, Jake. I used to do yoga, by the way. Best shape I was ever in with the Marlins was yoga. But this right here, like, I watch this. I'm like, what is it? Why? What is that? But there's some mechanism to the kinetic chain, et cetera, et cetera. I won't get super deep on you, but he's doing things. I'll even go back. 2 years ago, I was in Surprise, Arizona. He was pitching against the Rangers. He does a long toss. Now, normally we were taught to like crow hop, step and throw and get your body into it and take your energy. He picks his leg up and throws it like 100 yards with like nothing. Like there's some other stuff going on with this guy.
He's 5'11". $176. Like that is what I love even more so because look,
How tall are you?
I'm 6 foot, 6'1" maybe, but not a big guy, and it doesn't matter. My teammate Greg Maddux might have been the best ever to put him on. He was my size. I'm just making a reference of anybody out there that wants to know. Yes, we like you big and tall and leverage. All kinds and shapes are great at this game, and he is. And look, let me just read you some numbers of Yamamoto over the last 2 years in the playoffs. He started 10 games, Al. The Los Angeles Dodgers have won 9 of those 10. He's 7-1 with a 2.25. This year was 5-1 with a 1.45. You know what he did in the LCS to take him to the World Series? Through 2 complete games. No problems, Dave Roberts in bullpen. I got you. You know what he did in the World Series? Game 2? Complete game. I got this. Win, boys. It's win day. Yamamoto is a winner. You spoke on what he did in Game 6 and 7, kept their season alive, then single-handedly won them a World Series. In 2 years over here, this guy has showed us absolutely why we gave him the money. I love what you're talking about of there's just a lot of different ways and weapons now to get good. Speaking of weapons, he's got as many as you ever want. But look, when you talk about having the weapons and being as connected as he is in his training regimen and stuff, but when you have that kind of guts,
Jake, I want to ask you this.
Favorite pitcher in the league, just off what he did.
I don't know how much more time we have, but here, we're in a league now. We watch this. 100 pitches, the fire bells go off, guys running in the bullpen, warming up. And then I know this might be an aberration. I don't know what happens next year. When you pitched, 5 days, 4 days, 6 days?
You needed that 24 hours to get, like, we threw in our day 2. In day 2, you were still sore and had to work through a little bit.
Side day.
That's right. It would be a side day. To get up the next day and work through what you would have to work through and get your arm going, and then to throw more innings than anybody that the Dodgers had in Game 7? No. Threw more innings than Ohtani that started the game.
I just wondered, like, I'm sure you guys, you study what works and what might not work at the time. You went through the wild card this year, so you had the Reds, Phillies, Brewers, Blue Jays. What did you learn about what wins from this run?
Turns out it's helpful to play well in the playoffs. That's what helps you win. I know. I think over the last couple of years, you know, we've we've played really good baseball in the postseason. We've done it two very different ways. Obviously, incredibly bullpen heavy in 24 and 25, very starting pitcher heavy. I think a lot of it comes down to performing well in big spots, having a group of guys that really believe in each other and rise to the occasion in big moments. And, you got to have your guys play well. And our group it was a special group. The core group's incredible, and that's what they do. Everything they do starting from day one of spring training. So we've played really quality baseball over the last 2 years, and also caught some breaks, which is helpful.
Yeah, you guys have gotten bounced too. When you were great, you guys won 111, you won 107, and you can just lose. I know Joel Sherman, who was on the show, said like your team did remind him of the late '90s Yankees, where there's a calm even when you're trailing in the playoffs. Is there something to that, all that experience in the postseason?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you saw the resiliency of the team, and, no matter whatever the score is in the game or in the series, there's a one pitch at a time mentality, and like, hey, we've been here before. We felt the highs, we felt the lows, and just keep on grinding. And if you keep doing that and you kind of stack pitch by pitch, good things will happen ultimately.
Well, I'm wondering, what is it like for GM to be watching these games? You had the 18-inning game, and game 6 and 7 had to be brutal on you. So I want to take about one place in time. And it's not even the biggest play, but it's a pretty big play. Game 7, bottom of the ninth, tie game, bases loaded, right? Somehow lost in a pileup of epic plays. Yeah. The Andy Pages catch jumping on Kike. What are you thinking at this second?
My son was sitting on my lap. I think picked him up with one hand, not really noticing that I did that. And the whole, our whole group just completely erupted when Andy went and got that ball. There's so many incredible moments throughout that series. And then game 7, obviously just a whole nother level. So, the Blue Jays played incredible baseball, and, we're very fortunate to be on the winning side of that series.
So what is it like for you then? I'm sure your families are around, but Andrew Friedman is around. Are you dispassionate, or are you like going nuts? Are you throwing down drinks? Like, what are you doing to, like, you can't play anymore. You used to play, but you can't play. What is it like watching that as a GM?
Yeah. I mean, it's high adrenaline, high stress, very dialed in every pitch, certainly some white knuckle moments. There's a lot out there. Obviously, you can't go out and affect the game, but there's, everybody that does what we do pours so much time and energy into putting the team together. So it's a ton of fun, and it's a ton of stress and anxiety, but, the highs and lows and having those types of stakes, it's a beautiful thing.
I'll ask you a sportsy topic that we've kicked around. Do you feel that you're a dynasty?
I don't know. That's for other people to decide. All we're worried about is, like, each and every year going out and putting the best possible team we can out there. We have a ton of fantastic superstars on our team that are egoless and are solely focused on winning. So that's what we're most excited about, to continue to build around that group and trying to win as many championships as possible.
So yeah, I should have prefaced it by saying don't be modest, because then you end up getting modest. No, don't be modest. Just say it. All right. I wonder, can tanned and rested, can that path be replicated? And I use that meaning most of your staff is under 100 innings coming into the playoffs. Can you be doing this going forward?
Yeah, I'm not sure it's anything by design. I think, there's, just different paths to go about it. Obviously, you would love guys to run wire to wire and be, just as strong at the end as they were at the beginning, like Yama was. But each year poses its own challenges, whether it's injuries or, different types of performance variation. What you have to do is do your best to build out a well-rounded roster with a group of guys that, has a strong clubhouse culture, and obviously Doc and our staff does a great job keeping the guys motivated and dialed in and prepared. So really that's all you can worry about, and then each year kind of plays out as it does, and continue to troubleshoot and build a team that can handle different challenges along the way.
Yeah, staying fluid. You could make a case too. You mentioned Yamamoto. You can make a case you don't win either title without Yoshi Yamamoto, who is a finalist for the Cy Young Award coming up here soon. What's your evaluation of Yamamoto, what you expected and what you've gotten?
I mean, performance-wise, obviously he's been outstanding. What we saw last year and him really, once he gets settled in and coming into his own, once he came back from injury and each time out in the postseason getting better and better. This year was just incredibly impressive to go out. You just don't see that combination of stuff and execution, really diving into some of the game planning components and how to prepare each game. And then just an absolute killer mentality. We talk about Shohei's 3-homer game and 10 punch-outs. Like, I think what Yama did pitching in 6 and 7 and having the same stuff that he did on 7 as he did in 6 and actually getting the most outs out of any of our starters that game. I think you put it up there with things like we may never see again.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen it before. Hard to see it now. I want to talk off-season a bit. You have $71 million coming off the books. That's bad news for everybody else. So you tell me, what will the level of investment be for the Dodgers this offseason?
Yeah, I don't think it's any different than other years. It's kind of looking at the current roster. We're fortunate with how aggressive we've been the last few off seasons to have a really high floor. So we can look at free agency and trade scenarios on how to fill the different areas to continue to make us as good as we possibly can to win another World Series this year. So it could look a lot of different ways. Certainly ownership has been nothing but supportive along the way. So we don't expect anything different on that front as far as like we're going to go out and put together the best possible team we can. Keeping in mind like the goal is to win this year, but also to make sure that we continue to be as good as we possibly can for as long as we can.
Last year, Brendan, you went all out for bullpen help, and come the postseason, no Yates, no Tanner Scott, Blake Trinan struggled, and I thought you did great. But I'm on record. That's the way to attack it. Did not work out the way you'd planned, I'm sure. So what did you learn from that? What's the plan for building a killer bullpen?
Yeah, I think what we did last year was to try to put ourselves in position come trade deadline, not having to go into that market. I don't think that mentality will be any different in taking a good hard look at our pitching depth with, what we feel like right now is something that is really strong in our system. And obviously that's a fleeting thing, and, pitching depth can go quickly as we've seen in the past, but, continuing to look at how to supplement and make sure we're prepared to, like we talked about earlier, for a lot of different scenarios. And when we feel like there's a opportunity to add and really move the needle as far as championship odds, we'll do it. And if not, that's okay. We have a really strong group as is, and kind of let some of these guys go out there and get some opportunity.
いかがでしたでしょうか。このチャンネルでは日本人メジャーリーガーなどを中心に野球情報をお届けしています。この動画が良かったら高評価、チャンネル登録をよろしくお願いいたします。今回も最後までご覧いただきありがとうございました。それではまた次の動画でお会いしましょう。